love
Yeah, I
Reese's
gotta
peanut
see
butter
this.
cups. As a matter of fact,
This
it's
is
the #1 selling
Reese
candy bar for the
cups.
Hershey
I love
Company,
those
but it's
things.
also the #1 selling candy bar in the United States and
Oh,
Canada overall.
is it? I didn't know that. The #1 selling candy bar.
But these are no ordinary bags.
Which is roughly almost 2 million peanuts per super sack.
Oh, 2 million.
Truckloads
Oh,
of nuts come into
Lord.
the plant. The peanuts get cleaned, sorted, and roasted. After the nuts go
Nice.
through a grinder, the creamy peanut butter glacier slowly crawls toward the chocolate. Now we're ready to fill the cups.
Oh.
Deposit chocolate into the mold.
The cups ride over vibrating belts to get the peanut butter to spread out.
Oh,
Next up, a
nice.
depositor squirts the final chocolate layer into the cup. A puff of air spreads out the chocolate. Then the cups cool for 30 minutes before they're wrapped up and shipped across the globe. Now that's a peanut butter pool
Yeah.
that would make Harry Reese. Reese built his own factory a few blocks from the Hershey
That
plant.
is
Now it
awesome.
was Hershey's turn to supply Reese
That's
with
so
chocolate
cool.
for his peanut butter cups.
Anyway,
I always wanted to know how to make
they're not
these.
peeps just yet. They still have to get their crunch on. The trademark coating of brightly colored sugar that gives them their classic texture. Today's candy coating color is pink, which means first, red food coloring is diluted with water and then poured into huge rotating
Oh, so they
sugar.
create the color.
Just a few turns and presto, our sugar is in the pink. And ready to hit the showers. The sugar showers, that is.
All that sugar.
Dreaming.
Pure.
We're really talking about actual showers of sweetness here.
Yeah. Sweet on your butt when you get 500
That's
pounds.
where all the sugar gets blown around through tubes that blow air all over the sugar, and that's how they get covered.
Oh, wow. I didn't know
When
that.
the marshmallows finally get out, they are totally covered in colorful crystals. Looks pretty good, huh?
Yeah. Crystal full of blood pressure.
One detail that makes every single
I mean, diabetes.
They are still blind, and they don't know where they're going, so they make their way through the icing decorator.
They get imprinted with their unique little eye imprints, and not one chick is ever the same. And that's what gives them their peepsonality.
Everyone loves a hot chick with a nice peepsonality. In fact, these chicks are so hot, they have to chill out for a bit on the cooling belt.
Oh.
And they're on this thing for quite a while.
On a cooling belt.
The belt itself is over 300 feet long.
That's longer than a football field.
Wow. Ooh.
Chronic, the marshmallow itself can cool enough so it doesn't stick.
I didn't know that. Pretty
These crazy
cool.
complicated assembly lines group the birds into boxes and then wrap them in
Nice.
that classic Peeps film.
But what they don't do at White Castle is flip the burgers.
The reason why we don't have to flip them is because the steam and the buns that are basically over top of it, it cooks it all the way through for us, and then all we gotta do is take them off the grill, slide them right off. That's why they're sliders. Now we're gonna get the meat, and we're gonna place it on the grill. So 2 rows of 5, 3 times.
Each grill cooks 30 burgers at a time. But it's those famous 5 holes in the patties that make White Castle's cooking process so unique. They help steam grill each burger to perfection. Next, a little salt and pepper.
Now what we're gonna do is place the buns on here. What we wanna do is place it on before the meat cooks, because if we don't place it on, then all the steam runs away, and then our buns don't get that soft.
But what they don't do at White Castle is flip the burgers.
The reason why we don't have to flip them is because the steam and the buns that are basically over top of it, it cooks it all the way through for us, and then all we gotta do is take them off the grill, slide them right off. That's why they're sliders.
After 3 short minutes, they're ready to go. But not before they're topped off with that signature White Castle pickle.
You gotta have the pickle.
During a typical lunch hour, a White Castle can sell more than 1,000 burgers. And that's just 1 hour. Because they're so small, most folks order more than one.
I have to stop at 10 usually.
It's America's original fast food burger, made famous by America's first fast food restaurant, White Castle.
The White Castle tastes so good.
I need my White Castle.
In fact, White Castle was also the first to sell over 1 million of these bite-sized burgers. White Castle was born, And they sold their burgers for just 5 cents apiece. Today, they sell more than 600 million sliders every year. Once they're inspected, the taters pour onto a conveyor belt called a roll grater, where the potatoes are brought in from local farms. Then, they get a shower. But in order to be a kettle bake, these clean taters also have to be the right size. From there, a hydro tube transports the potatoes across the factory to the slicer. They don't peel them because those peels are good for you. Worker puts the potato into a cup that vibrates to move it down to a slicer. Now the whole process goes high-tech as the uncooked chips go through 2 ovens, then a seasoner. First, they cook in the red light district. The chips line up to go through the seasoning drum. They get a spritz of safflower oil and seasoning, then drop into a machine that puts them in a bag.
The machine is really called a form, fill, and seal machine.
Into a tube, seals the back seam, the jaws come down, cut the top of the previous bag, and seal it.
And it only takes 15 minutes from potato to package.
The peanut butter candy cake is our #1 seller. Yeah, they taste great and people still love them.
Only 29,000 pounds, which equates to...
First, they mix the ingredients to make the vanilla cake batter.
They'll be mixed for a prescribed period of time.
Before it hits the heat, the batter pumps into individual cups.
Each day we make approximately 500,000 candy cakes.
After the cakes cool, they slide on down to the peanut butter striping station. And get this, they use enough peanut butter in 1 year to make 8 million peanut butter sandwiches. The warm chocolate waterfall coats both the top and bottom of the cake. They cool down and wrap up. Ready for cupcake lovers everywhere who crave an extra dose.
Melt in your mouth sensation of chocolate, peanut butter, and a little bit of cake, and it's just heavenly.
First started making peanut butter candy cakes in the 1930s. Organic dough rides through a series of rollers. Along the way, the dough divides into several sheets. These layers are part of the secret to crispy crackers. The cutter is like a giant rolling pin with stamps that cut out the crackers. And here's a fun fact. Those little holes are called docking holes.
Crispy bite that we all like in crackers.
A quick dusting of salt, and the crackers are off to a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven. A machine doses out a dollop of warm, liquid peanut butter.
We use 140 gallons of peanut butter.
Then they flip into sandwich mode. Check this out.
And with little tiny suction cups, we pick up the top of the cracker and place it down gently on top of the peanut butter.
There are 20 rows across doing 200 of these a minute.
It would take about 45,000 mini sandwiches to reach the top of the Empire State Building.
After an 8-minute ride to cool down, these baby bites of peanut butter fall into snack-sized packages. And if you've ever wondered who's the boy in the box, well, here's the story. The tea mixes in a big tank with 400 gallons of water and 6 other secret ingredients, forming a Nestea concentrate. Then a sample pours from a small spout on the giant tank. It's taken to the Nestea lab for ingredient and sugar level testing. In the final production area, towers of empty cans load onto the filling line, and the tea mixes with more water before pumping into the cans.
Once it fills each can, it goes up under a nitrogen dosing unit where it doses liquid nitrogen into the can to make it firm and rigidity.
Some of the cans line up for packing into boxes, while others pull together with 6-pack plastic rings. Another machine stacks cases tightly together. The pallets of tea then move to a massive 750,000 square foot warehouse before shipping to stores.
If you were to lay them end to end, would probably go around the world about 2.5 times.
And at the Coke plant in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're making about 75 million gallons of Nestea a year. Today, M&M Mars is making around 1
Y'all
billion
gotta
M&Ms
see this.
every day.
I always
The making
wonder
process
how they make
starts
M&Ms.
with the chocolate. A mix made from milk, sugar, and cocoa, where giant containers
All
filled
that
with metal
cornstarch.
beads
Oh,
grind
Lord.
up the powder with cocoa butter and chocolate liqueur.
Uh-huh,
A
chocolate
smooth,
love fat.
semi-solid chocolate ready for depositing into tiny bean-shaped sheets.
Wow.
Is the best shape to ensure that the sugar cell is put on in a consistent and even fashion.
Ooh.
Now, the step of putting on the first coat of candy is top secret.
Ooh.
But once the chocolate centers have their first sweet coat on, it's time for them to take a tumble. Extra layers
Ooh,
of color
look
are
at that.
shellacked onto the shells. Next, candies
push
get
your lap.
christened with their own
Don't
little
tell
letters.
that.
But this is not a random assortment of sweet colors. A bag of M&Ms contains exactly 25% orange, 25% blue, and 12.5% of brown,
Ooh.
red, yellow, and green candies.
See that?
In 1 year,
Here is some
800,000
Twix, y'all.
pounds of chocolate covers these candies. One of the main
Ooh.
ingredients is obviously
Y'all
molasses.
got to see this.
These uses 20,000 pounds of molasses
Molasses.
a year in
Oh
these chips,
my
along with
God.
butter, sugar, and corn
Diabetes
syrup.
century.
After the ingredients cook, the sticky mix pours out at a scalding 295 degrees Fahrenheit. Then
My sister
it's
addicted
off
to
the
these
puller
things.
for more exercise. The huge doughy blob rides a conveyor to a series of rollers that flatten the massive sticky mix. A chip former
Oh.
scores the candy into 500 chips per minute.
Wow,
They take
500
their
chips
spot
per
on
minute.
the
That
final
is a
conveyor
lot of
belt,
chips.
300 feet long. This is where the chips ride into the enrover
Oh,
like a chocolate
that's
shower.
that good cookie.
Then the finishing touch is added.
Each piece of candy has its own unique design. We use an air blow to blow off the chocolate so when the consumer gets that chip and they know it's a C's chip.
Oh.
In 1 year, 800,000 pounds of chocolate covers these candies. It took almost
You
6
guys
months
gotta
and
see this.
15,000
How to make
pounds of test
caramel.
in 2004. It's a process starting with lots of corn syrup. Sugar, water, condensed milk, and salt add in, and the 800-pound batch cooks for about 25 minutes. Then
I love
one more
caramel.
special ingredient
I love
adds in,
caramel.
giving the slowpoke its memorable caramel taste. After cooking,
Look at that
boiling
cornstarch.
brew pipes onto a cooling wheel, immediately chilling the caramel. It then packs in tubs and is sent to cure in a 110-degree Fahrenheit heated room. After 24 hours, caramel dumps into a forming machine for the rest of the process. The caramel
Interesting.
is shaped into a rope that snakes its way into a finished slowpoke.
Wow.
The cotton wrap reforms the rope to a rectangle instead of a circle, and then it's cut and run through our wrapping and inserted the stick.
Old fans of the sticky sweet can enjoy the original slowpoke sucker and the bite-sized version as well.
Oh.
After mixing up
Now
the
this
secret
is my
recipe,
favorite
the dough comes down a
bread.
series of conveyors
I
and drops into a
love
hopper.
Hawaiian
A
bread.
machine called a divider portions the dough into loaf-sized balls, which then smooth out in the rounder. A worker places
Nice.
each dough ball in a pie pan, and then they ride off to the proof box. The pans then load 10 across into a long tunnel oven.
Oh,
where
that
the bread
looks
turns
so
golden
good,
brown
fresh.
in 20
Oh,
minutes.
God.
After baking, loaves ride on a cooling tower, developing their signature wrinkly tops.
Full of gas and air from the bake cycle, and that air will actually contract, pull in the outside surface.
Today at the King's Factory in Torrance, California, 48,000 loaves of sweet bread bake up
Yummy.
every day.
Mmm, delicious. Oh, wee. Oh, that looks so good.
Regardless of where you get your grub, the process starts by loading fresh chicken into a tumbler. Secret spices pour onto the chicken. Originally, Popeyes would massage the seasonings into the bird by hand, but now there's a different spin on the sauce.
So we put the chicken into this, looks like a big washing machine or dryer, and it gives it the tumbling action that we need.
Next, the poultry moves to the cooler, where it marinates for a minimum of 12 hours. A day later, the bird busses to the preparation table.
Simply our batter, and then into our flour. Then it's tumbled 20 times by hand.
The birds then fly into the fryer.
It cooks pretty high temperature for a pretty good while, a little bit more than 10 minutes. In 1 year, we will sell approximately 1 billion pieces of chicken. If you break that down, that's 3 million pieces of fried chicken every day.
And by far, the most sought-after side is the biscuit. In fact, Popeyes bakes 335 million biscuits annually. But with all the attention, how many know what a pork rind really is? Surprisingly, it begins with the same raw material going into gelatin, marshmallows, which is pigskin. For pork rinds, the process starts with pork pellets that look a lot like a piece of bacon. Various sizes of pellets are blended, then fried in 400-degree oil. This is where the transformation occurs.
The pellet is
actually expanded 6 to 7 times its original size. The trapped moisture in the pellet is released and expands it or puffs it violently, kind of like a kernel of popcorn is puffed.
The freshly popped pellets cool on a conveyor, then get sprinkled with seasonings in a giant drum. The most popular flavor remains original, with barbecue a close second.
Believe it or not, we have become a health food, which I never thought we'd be described as a health food.
George Bush Sr. appointed the pork rind a presidential snack. El Monterey brand taquitos. The taquitos start out flat as fresh dough is continuously cut into round tortillas.
We have the fastest tortilla line in the world.
The doughy discs immediately stream into a 300-degree oven for approximately 20 seconds. Here, the filling is the center of attention. Cheddar and Monterey Jack cheeses are also blended into this steak recipe.
There's a small amount of binder, like a sticky flour, that holds the taquito tight as it goes through the fryer to make sure it doesn't unroll.
In a secret process, the tortilla twists around the stuffing, holding tight as they head into 350-degree heat for less than a minute. Then it's a quick cool down as the mini meals glide into the freezer, where they'll chill out for over 30 minutes before rolling into packaging. Reese makes over 1 million taquitos a day. And when it comes to enjoying this Mexican meal, some are now enjoying them with a competitive edge. They started out by selling a rather curious concoction.
All of our recipes start with my grandmother's recipe.
When the beans mixed with chilled water, the pot's frothing at the mouth. Refried beans are made with the pinto variety, a medium-sized bean which is a staple in Latino cooking. First, they take a wet and wild ride. Next, they're partially cooked for 1 hour in a giant airtight pot called a pressure cooker. Afterward, when the beans mixed with chilled water, the pot's frothing at the mouth with a natural byproduct of bean protein. Once the foam washes away, steamed beans cook inside an agitating kettle with vegetable oil and spices. Even though they're called refried, these beans are fried, or in this case cooked, only once. Their name actually comes from a mistranslation of the Spanish frijoles refritos, which actually means well-fried beans. As soon as they're mashed into a paste-like consistency, these beans get canned. After they're filled and sealed, they go into a retort, a special oven making canned food safe to eat. The retort extends the can's shelf life as well, providing refried beans well into the future.
It can last 7 years.
It's got a name no one can agree on.
I say pecan pie.
Pecan is what most people say.
And each pie begins with the crust.
Flour and shortening together and making a pie dough.
Filling is prepared in another machine. Brown sugar, white sugar, water, and vanilla are combined, forming a sweet sidekick for the pecans. Then the pie machine puts it all together. First, pie tins are loaded onto the machine. Then the dough is flattened into a sheet and cut into cubes. A single cube drops into each pan, where it's formed into a pie shell. Next, it's nut time. Each pan gets a precise shot of pecans, then a dose of the filling.
And allows them to float to the top of the pie, which enhances the taste.
Now, the filled pies are moved to the oven by an incredible invention that never spills a drop.
The transfer mechanism is called a walking beam transfer. And
the pies spend the next 21 minutes riding through a very long oven. The hot pies then chill out on a cooling tower for about an hour. Maybe they can answer the puzzling question: is it pecan or pecan?
Part 1 contains the RC extract, which is a secret ingredient.
Well, if you talk to a lot of people in the South, they will tell you about RC and moon pies.
When you could buy them both for a dime. Today, the folks at Dr. Pepper and 7-Up bottle RC. The soda gets mixing when high fructose corn syrup and citric acid are blended with water. Then, a thick concentrate is added to the mix in 2 parts.
Part 1 contains the RC extract, which is a secret ingredient. And the second, a 5-gallon container, has preservatives and caffeine.
But before the syrup gets bubbles, it gets cooled down. Next, the bubbling brew hits the 60-head filler at 500 bottles a minute. Then, things warm back up.
By raising the temperature up, it prevents condensation that we don't want as we come through the packing process.
RC still ships all over the U.S., but its flavor lives deep in the South, where folks prefer the sweet life.
It's the perfect soft drink for the Southern palate.
One of my earliest memories of soft drinks is taking an RC Cola and emptying in a bag of salted peanuts. Part 1 contains the RC extract, which is a secret ingredient.
Well, if you talk to a lot of people in the South, they will tell you about RC and moon pies.
When you could buy them both for a dime. Today, the folks at Dr. Pepper and 7-Up bottle RC. The soda gets mixing when high fructose corn syrup and citric acid are blended with water. Then, a thick concentrate is added to the mix in 2 parts.
Part 1 contains the RC extract, which is a secret ingredient. And the second, a 5-gallon container, has preservatives and caffeine.
But before the syrup gets bubbles, it gets cooled down. Next, the bubbling brew hits the 60-head filler at 500 bottles a minute. Then, things warm back up.
By raising the temperature up, it prevents condensation that we don't want as we come through the packing process.
RC still ships all over the U.S., but its flavor lives deep in the South, where folks prefer the sweet life.
It's the perfect soft drink for the Southern palate.
One of my earliest memories of soft drinks is taking an RC Cola and emptying in a bag of salted peanuts.
Skippy's the world's largest seller of peanut butter. The average child eats 1,500 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches by the time they graduate high school.
Machines pump out over 1 million pounds of Skippy peanut butter each week. Rail cars deliver shelled peanuts to the factory. A waterfall of peanuts flows off the conveyor belt at a rate of 18,000 an hour. After a quick soak, it's time for a bumpy ride down a vibrating belt to shake off any remaining skins. Next, machines sort through the masses one by one. Giant blades now grind the peanuts into a coarse paste. Workers test the mixture to make sure it's the correct color. Up next, machines add sugar, salt, and other ingredients to prevent oil from separating from the peanut paste. The mixture moves to a mixing kettle and stirs for a few minutes. Then, a second set of grinders works their magic. This creates that smooth, creamy peanut butter texture. Meanwhile, an army of plastic jars march to the filling station. Depositors fill the clear containers at turbo speed, up to 250 jars each minute. Machines cap the containers, and then the jars receive the famous Skippy labels. They're Mexican staples making any meal seem like a fiesta, as kernels ride through a shaker belt for a cleaning. Then the corn cooks with water and other natural ingredients.
Grind it and put it into our hoppers.
Next, ground corn or masa deposits into a sheeter head, a machine responsible for flattening and cutting the dough into the familiar tortilla shape. Next, the circular shapes voyage through an oven and then get their signature curved casing before the final step in cooking.
And the reason it's formed prior to being fried is because it's flexible, bendable enough for us to get it into the shape we want it.
The soft shells then submerge into boiling vegetable oil before coming out the other side, hot and crispy. Next, they travel down a cooling belt and meet up with taco experts who stack the snacks in specially designed packaging.
It has ridges in it that allow the taco shell to nest within the tray, allows for as minimal a breakage as possible within this tray.
And while Ortega tries to prevent breakage in the box, they admit it's much harder to curb those inevitable cracks while consuming.